Hello and welcome from Vancouver. I'm happy to be here. Unfortunately, not for too long. For those of you know, here for the Points, Miles, and Bling meetup. Unfortunately, not much time to explore this time around, but at least I get to do one of these with you from out west. So happy that we are doing that. Thank you, Richard. Yeah, it's just after I landed here and got in, as I was trying to get to bed last night, rather late last night it was because I'm on Eastern time. It was already like 1 a.m. My brain was sort of drifting in and out of, oh, should I have given myself more time to do a few things in Vancouver? But then I kept reminding myself this is more of a work trip and I must have to get back Sunday for an engagement that we have in the evening in Ottawa. So all of that. But yeah, happy to be here. Gotta come slightly further west, says Heather. Yep, Heather. Honestly, I've said this before as well. Victoria has been on the map, and I really have been wanting to get to Victoria one of these days for sure. Absolutely. Farzan says, looking forward to meeting you tonight. Yep, same here, Farzan. In fact, I may have mentioned this to the group that has signed up or is coming to the meetup tonight. It's a pretty good mix of first timers being first timers that are coming to my event. So it'll be nice to put more faces to the names. So I'm looking forward to that. So Farzan, I don't think we've met before, so I'm looking forward to meeting you. There's a few others that are coming in that I've not met before, but I only know them through my newsletter group, exchanged emails back and forth, or through the Discord that we have. But yeah, so sort of looking forward to that. We have our attendance in that meetup has swollen a little bit. We are up to 37 or 38 now. I had to open up last few spots that I had to open up just yesterday. Had a couple of, I noticed that on the wait list, there were 3 or 4 people still waiting and they'd been on the wait list for a while. So anyways, reached out to the event organizers or rather the space organizers, the manager there, and they were happy to include a few more spots for us. To be honest, the published limit on that space is 30. We are 38. I think we should be okay. So, yeah. Heather says, sorry, but Vancouver is a similar hassle to be in as Ontario. That's a loaded statement, Heather. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Uh, but go ahead, feel free to expand what you mean in terms of, I don't think too many people that live in Vancouver would be happy with you comparing them to all of Ontario. So, uh, yes, but it's a yeah, it's just like any other big city. In and out is I think. Hey, guess what? Speaking of in and out, for what took me by surprise, the last time I was in Vancouver was probably early fall. Another one of those work trips, just quick in and out. Um, and the taxi service, the fixed rates from the airport to downtown used to be 35 or $36. They have jumped up by $12. So now the fixed taxi rates from the airport to downtown is 46 dollars to the core downtown. I'm at in Delta downtown, so very Delta, yeah, downtown, so very much in the core. And if you're going towards Stanley Park, it's $48. And I think that was crazy. It took me by surprise because you don't come like 2, 3 months after and then suddenly realize, oh, the th things have jumped up like $12, $10. So, anyways, if you were planning to come down to Vancouver Airport rather, and then wanted to take a taxi or the SkyTrain, I would have loved to take the SkyTrain. I take that all the time. Uh, but the distance between SkyTrain station and this Delta hotel I'm at is an awkward sort of 3 to 5 minute walk, and it was 1 a.m. and my brain wasn't ready for that kind of chilly, windy walk here in Vancouver downtown at that time. So anyways, I chose to take the taxi at a fixed rate, and it kind of surprised me that the fares had jumped up that much. So I asked the taxi driver, I said, what was the cause for this hike? And I told him I was here just a few months ago and it was almost 10, $12 cheaper. And he said apparently the airport has increased whatever fee they charge you to pick up at the airport by $7 or $8, which is why everything has gone up a little bit. And you could tell that this was a more recent thing because as you lined up for the taxis, there wasn't much of a line at the time. But there's a map, that famous map that goes around. I've taken a picture. I'll share that with everybody else through social media. But you could see stickers. So they pasted on top of the rates that were listed on that. They'd put stickies and put in the new rates. So Yeah, very recent. So, what do we want to talk about today? I figured today let's just do a bit of catch up in terms of what's happening in the points promotions and things like that. And I wanted to get some feedback from you guys. Anybody here logged in that has recently done the Etihad First Class redemption through Aeroplan? If you have, please ping because we'll have a little session. We'll have a little segment at the end where we'll talk about Etihad First Class, particularly through a promotion that's going on with them right now. But I'll leave it for later because let's start with something a little sort of closer to home. I think one of the bigger news items that came through was the changes announced by TD Canada. They had announced a few changes to credit card benefits and earn rates, which sort of sort of took everybody with a pleasant surprise. There were a few rumors doing the rounds that there might be a devaluation hidden somewhere. I caught on to something that they had dropped a particular language about grocery from one of the earn rates, but then they came back and clarified that the earn rates on groceries were not being touched for the TD First Class card particularly. So let's talk about what these changes are. First, all of these changes that TD has announced are on the website, are available on the public domain. They're called statement of change notice or something like that. If you just quickly Google, you'll see all of them card by card. Uh, all of these changes are effective April 30th. So they've done well in terms of announcing this a couple of months in advance. So one consistent change across all cards, and I think I counted about 8 or 9 cards that were being sort of impacted through these changes. And the good thing is that the one common theme was a change in interest rates. So the interest rates are going to go up from 20 by 1%, from 20.99 to 21.99%. And hopefully none of us here in this community or even outside, I never want to see or hear people paying interest rate on their credit cards. So hopefully that's not as much of a thing for this group. I would hope. Um, but for TD First Class card, which is very popular to begin with amongst the TD portfolio, will now include 4 complimentary lounge passes each year, which is fantastic. So they're bringing in lounge benefit as a core thing in the card, which is awesome. And they're also bringing in new earn rates on specific things like public transit. It will now earn 6 TD points for every dollar you spend in public transit, and often the definition of public transit includes taxis and things like that as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that sort of translates to our daily earnings in the household for TD households. Streaming, digital gaming, and media purchases are all going to go to 4 TD points per dollar. And restaurants, they've changed the wording, and this is what had caught my attention. They've changed the wordings from restaurants to an oddly worded drinking places, which is basically bars, nightclubs, cocktail lounges, restaurants, in general, food and drinks is going to be 6x, so 6 points per dollar. And they've clarified that customers will continue to earn 6 TD points for their grocery purchases as well, and that the restaurant category had just been expanded and renamed as dining. So yeah, because the promos, I mean, the thing said drinking places, which I thought that's a very oddly or poorly worded thing, but then they clarified that was being renamed dining, and they had dropped, that's just what is changing. Changing is that dining will now earn 6x as well, as along with the groceries rather. So that was TD changes. One of the comments that I heard from everybody, and feel free to tell me what you think about this, that, oh, another card, another lounge access, lounges are anyways full, so this should not be looked at as a big benefit on an overall scheme of things because lounge access through credit cards is becoming almost restrictive because everybody has a card that allows them lounge access. And to my immediate reaction to that is yes and no. I think yes and no because yes, in theory, more and more people will have lounge access, but also I don't think the majority of the people all travel kind of like business travelers do. The frequency is not the same. And most of the leisure travelers that travel, their flight timings are not in the middle of the day. They tend to be earlier in the day, later in the evening, that kind of thing. Or sorry, the reverse of that. Business travelers tend to be super early in the morning, late in the evening. Leisure traveler timings, the flight timings often does not overlap with that group. So I think lounges should be okay, but I do get that criticism that, hey, if every card ends up giving you lounge access, then what is the uh, what is the novelty factor of having lounge access um, through for a limited few? And I don't know how I feel about that. I want more and more people to have that lounge access simply because even if you take one trip a year with your family, and if you have access to those four lounge passes, even if you have to wait a little bit, at least you get away from the hustle and bustle of the terminal. So I think the lounge access is still a big acquisition offer. Let's just in business speak, that's what they're trying to do. They've tried to make TD card now a lot more aligned and competitive with the likes of, say, a Cobalt card or other high earning cards that are out in the market. This Scotia Gold Scene card, Scene Plus, the card that earns Scene Plus points, Scotia Amex Gold, that is. So now TD First Class really ups its game by offering you lounge access, 6x on groceries and dining, 4x, 6x on public transit, 4x on all of the other streaming services, media purchases, this, that, and the other, which could probably also include Rogers or Bell, or if you're paying your phone, everything will become four times earn as well. So I really think that card is now becoming super strong in this Canadian market. It already enjoyed a good sort of quote unquote fandom amongst this community as well. But I think now, with even with these slight changes, that card has exponentially gone up in the ranks or in reputation at least, or will go through that starting April, and a lot more people will be more interested in this card than the other Amex cards and things like that for obvious reasons, vis-a-vis Amex. Um, Iyad says, I don't have the first class travel and I don't plan on, but I do think that more cards that have lounge access, the better the competition and better the credit card perks that come across the board. But yeah, fully agree with your first part of the comment, which is the flip of that is while I was, or the comments that I read and I was focusing on, oh, if everybody has lounge access, does it really make sense? Our lounge is getting buried by people. The other flip of that is exactly what Iyad is talking about, which is, hey, guess what? This is good. It makes the card more competitive and it allows just healthy competition across the board, puts a little bit more pressure. So you don't want one or two takeaway cards, which are so far ahead of the competition that they can just sit back on their laurels and not sort of get better over time, or not provide consistent value or better other benefits or evolved benefits over time. So TDFCT card or first class travel card upping its game is really good for competition, which is exactly what we've said for airlines, hotel industry, everybody else. So yeah, 100% agree with that sentiment for sure. Uh, the other couple of cards that caught my attention through that TD change was obviously the TD Aeroplan suite of cards. So they have a new earn rates on EV charging purchases, which also become 1.5x, which is the same as gas. So if you're pumping gas or now charging your cars at EV stations, you're going to earn 1.5 Aeroplan points for every dollar you spend. And the TD cashback cards, which is the cashback Visa Infinite card and whatnot, also have a good also have the same suite of earned rates. So public transit, streaming and digital gaming and media, EV charging purchases all become 3% cashback, which is again really, really strong. Well done. They are really upping the game with these new benefits. I've asked TD point blank if there was any devaluation coming to on the redemption side, particularly in light of that TD First Class rumors that were going around, and their answer was flat no. They said no, the only changes were whatever they were, and they did not sort of mince their words or go around it. But hey, guess what? It's a bank confirming that they're not devaluing. I'll take it as face value right now, but we'll wait and see what happens in April. I'm hoping that they're not going to devalue. At least they think they're not going to be devaluing it. So yeah, fingers crossed on that, and let's hope things line up and fall in place as we expect them to. Speaking of Amex, Amex also has a promotion going around. Last year they had this promotion, and I thought, oh, how many people really partake? And I'm told by Amex that this was very popular, and I'm not surprised by that. So the new promotion, so they're bringing back this promotion, which is 30% back on membership rewards, flex redemptions or flexible redemptions. What that basically means is the flexible redemptions is simple. 1,000 membership reward points is $10. And when you redeem those, so say you go and book directly through the Flex Redemption portal, Amex portal, then you would be able to charge everything to the card and then redeem 1,000 points for every $10 you've spent. Now they're giving you 30% back on those redemptions for flights or hotels. So essentially, 700 points is $10. So it's a nice little 30% back. And you can stack that. So if you think that, hey, that's still not no good use of my membership rewards, for this community, I think that's largely true, that that's not the best use. But the 30% back is pretty solid, especially when you stack it with Air Canada's new promotion, who are giving up to 2x on any sun destination flights you're taking. And this is again cash purchase. So if you buy Air Canada flights via Amex going to any sun destinations like Florida, Mexico, the Caribbean, then yeah, you could easily not only redeem with the 30% back promotion from Amex, you would also then earn up to 2x points, Aeroplan points for taking those flights. Because everything earned or everything quote unquote booked and redeemed through Amex will still count as a cash booking for airlines and hotels. So I thought that was a good sort of a nice little low-hanging stacking opportunity for those of you that may be interested. Um, what else did we have? Oh, speaking of Florida, there was also the partnership that was announced recently between Porter and Brightline. So Porter and Brightline have this partnership where they're trying to expand into Florida and reach other places. So if you are starting out in Orlando, where Porter connects a lot of their flights, Porter also connects to Fort Lauderdale and such. But if you're going into Orlando, then you can actually take Brightline all the way down to say Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and further maybe with a 50% discount. And the good news is that you don't have to be flying Porter to take Brightline. I played around in the Brightline booking portal. The 50% code is Porter, Porter, all caps. But you don't have to be flying them, so there's no check for that. However, this 50% discount on their Saver fares works only starting out of Orlando. So if you're headed to Florida, and if you find yourself in Orlando and you don't want to pay whatever, Brightline, I've seen a few reviews on YouTube and such. Their trains look really swanky and nice. And from whatever I've heard, the stations are good, the lounges are nice. The service on the train itself is really, really good. And Brightline is promising a lot for the future of train travel in the US. So yeah, take a look at them. If you are in Florida or in Orlando, then you can easily redeem 50% fares. I mean, get 50% discount on your Brightline. Anybody that is takeout, Iyad says it's only, yes, yes, Iyad, yes, it is only from Orlando. That's correct. What about TO? What is TO? Tampa? What's T? Oh, to Orlando. Unfortunately, to Orlando doesn't work. I think this is being done in a very um, in a structured way by Porter, because Porter is bringing in, I think, has more flight slots in Orlando. So they're bringing in more people into Orlando than any other Florida airport. So from Orlando going anywhere else, it makes it easier and cheaper for you to get there with Bright Lines. I think that's what they're trying to solve. I don't know. I obviously don't know the exact details and technicalities of how many slots they have at every airport in Florida, but I think based on just the maps I was looking at, flight connections, it looks like they're bringing in more passengers into Orlando through their route right now. Hence, the partnership with Brightline sort of serves them from Orlando to those other spots. This is just a introductory partnership. I hope over time it builds enough that you can get something for the return trip as well. But right now, like Iyad said, like I mentioned, I played around, and unfortunately, it looks like it's only from Orlando. Susan says, signing off, breakfast time. See you all at the meetup. Take care, Susan. You won't see all at the meetup, but you'll see some of us at the meetup. But have a good breakfast. Speaking of breakfast, I was famished again, Eastern time. By the time I've been up since 5 a.m. Vancouver time, obviously, and I was famished. And really went down at around 7:05 local time, and I ate my fill. The breakfast was fantastic here. In fact, I'm at, I mean, I mentioned Delta downtown. the all-suite hotel, you can do an easy skip on them. The best part of the highlight of my stay thus far has been the breakfast menu. Everything else, the rooms are pretty dated, and it's sort of like not even like the nice condo style. It is condo style, but super dated and old. I think the only thing they've changed here is the tiling or the flooring, and pass. But anyways, speaking and that talk about breakfast sidetracked me. Um, so yeah, that's Brightliner Porter. I took Porter down from Ottawa to Vancouver, which was again a nice flight, direct flight on Porter. I booked Porter Reserve, and I think I paid just under $500 through a promotion, which wasn't bad at all. I'm pretty sure it was, yeah, either 480 or 580. So yeah, 500 or $600 is what I paid for the return trip on Porter Reserve. So I've traveled Porter Reserve on Porter, I mean, three round trips in the last couple of years between Ottawa and Vancouver. And I think I've done just one way between Vancouver, Toronto, the inaugural flight, perhaps. Um, and my thing about their food has changed a little bit. I still like the quality of food that they serve, but I'm just not a big fan of dinner being cold. And yeah, just cold food doesn't cut it for me. In fact, the salad course and the main course was just as cold as each other. So that didn't sit well with me last night. I was like, I really could have done with some warm meal, especially when it's winter and it's cold and you're looking for something warm and comforting, right? So, meh. Um, but that said, the quality of food is still good. If you're taking Porto Reserve, the only thing I can tell you is skip that first row. Row one seats are complete garbage. I was in row three. I've always picked two or three. I saw row one empty, so I thought, hey, just for the sake of experiencing it, let me just switch my seat. So I asked the um, crew member and I switched to one. Of course, any bulkhead seats, it's a little tighter on the width because of the uh, tray table in on the side. Not only was the width slightly restrictive and just about okay. I'm a wide person. I have wide hips as well. I fit in okay. I could have used a little more room, but the distance between you and the tray table folded out, my God, either I've grown my paunch, I've doubled or tripled my paunch size in the last few months, but row one, that tray was sticking into my stomach, and I did everything to adjust. It doesn't adjust much, and I noticed people across from me who were much more leaner, younger, just the better health-wise than I am. And even they were like sticking with that tray table right up to them. So I think that tray table scenario in row one is a bit restrictive. If anything, those bulkhead seats should be sold for cheaper prices just for that. So I would say that's my biggest takeaway from this Porter flight is don't be stuck in row one of a Porter flight or Porter Reserve if you're paying for that. Outside of that, great service. If you follow me on Instagram, you noticed I did a quick speed test while we were at full altitude. And it was upwards of 40 megabytes per second, which is awesome speed, considering what we get at other airlines and stuff. I think the biggest thing with Porter, and I'll think or reflect deeper into this and have better thoughts to share. But just off the top, I think the lower density of people traveling on that aircraft is somewhat comforting. The fact that it's new, the lighting is nice, and single aisle, no middle seat plays a lot in people's mind and psyche. It doesn't feel jam-packed like an Air Canada, bigger airline, bigger aircraft rather can feel. Fewer passengers felt just easier single aisle. Yeah, I don't know. It just felt more comfortable and cozy. It does feel that way in the aircraft itself. And the crew members are really nice. They're redefining how they serve people, um, how cool and hip they come across as. So it's just a nice, fun product. The packaging is nice and all of that is good. But would I say it's ultimately and overall better than flying Air Canada? I don't think so. I think that's apples and oranges, especially if you're comparing a Porter Reserve seat. It's best compared to, say, a premium economy seat in one of the bigger aircraft with Air Canada. But then again, bigger aircraft with Air Canada premium economies have middle seats and whatnot. Just that direct comparison, I would still take Porter over Air Canada. But just as an overall product, a service, especially for this points community, which we are happy to use e-ups and upgrade and whatnot, signature class, or in fact, even the regular business class in on Air Canada flights, reclining chairs as opposed to flat beds, are far better than Porter Reserve seats. Like, you know what I mean? So the only comparison, the direct comparison I could draw is premium economy versus Porter Reserve. Porter Reserve comes ahead. That said, I think the main discussion should be what about economy? Economy travel. I think Porter just about nudges Air Canada behind on that, simply because their pricing is a lot better. Uh, in on most of the segments, I find their pricing to be a little bit better than Air Canada. And then again, that aircraft feel of single aisle, cozy cabin, newer aircraft, cabin crew is much more relaxed. The product being served is elevated. So I think that piece they have that locked down. I really think they are focusing on changing the behavior of people that like to travel in economy in Canada or through Canada to US and other places. They're really doing well. And I think that's where the conversation needs to be upfront. Porter Reserve versus any other business product. I think Air Canada still has that locked down through its loyalty program and whatnot. Um, tell you this, as soon as I sat down, the couple of people right next to me, that is exactly what they were talking with each other. They were basically talking about how much better Porter is. They were sitting in Porter Reserve seats, of course, than Air Canada. And I don't know if they were comparing it apples to apples with Air Canada Premium Economy or just sort of comparing Air Canada economy to Porter Reserve and then saying, oh, it's far better, which tends to happen a lot. Um, People miss out on the nuance, but yeah, that's my overall feeling. I just wanted to say that out loud since we were talking about Porter. Right. Let's talk about Etihad promotion. Etihad Guest Miles, which is Etihad's own loyalty program. They're running a limited time promotion on flight redemption. So they're offering up to 30% discount on points redemption in first class from Abu Dhabi to Paris, Geneva, or Singapore. So again, it's very specific. This promotion is for first class cabin only, up to 30% off in redemption from Abu Dhabi to Paris, Geneva, or Singapore. And I think obviously Abu Dhabi, Singapore will get the most amount of sort of eyeballs because it's the longest distance. You get to spend a little more time in that first class and whatnot. So with that discount included, it's now 95,000 points only. So for 95,000 points, one way you could go from Abu Dhabi to Singapore or Geneva or Paris in Etihad First Class. The promotion is a little banner that pops up as soon as you log into your guest miles. And again, this is only for Etihad Guest Miles program. In mind, 95,000 each way is a decent amount of miles. And we'll talk about Etihad guest miles versus, say, American and whatnot. Let's be honest, like actually, Mohammed did, I was just before we went on, I was just searching for this article. Mohammed did a pretty solid post on how to book Etihad first class, and it talks about all the nuance that you need to know. So I've plugged that in the chat. Feel free to go through it. Iyad says, "Oh God, I'm not ready for another eight Abu Dhabi to Paris drama." Iyad, I want you to share what this drama is. I feel like you had shared this before, but I forget what the drama was. But let me finish my thought, Iyad, and then if you want to put that in your in the comments, let's do that. Or Iyad, if you want to talk about it, if that's easier, I can give you access to the microphone if you want to talk about it, and we can. I have my flight. Oh, I'll talk. Says Iyad. Perfect. Iyad, give me a quick second. Let me quickly go through this thing that I had mine and I jotted down a few things. Despite this promotion of the 30% off, which is good if you're primarily an Etihad guest, person and you redeem your miles that way, then it's a great promotion for a very niche product. However, American Advantage program continues to be, should be your preferred program, or is the preferred program for me, simply because there's consistent saver level award available on Etihad, first class included, uh, directly through the American program. And that costs 115. I've seen 115 to 110 to 115,000, I think, is the range from Canada or US to Abu Dhabi. And if you're flexible with dates, even better, you'll find enough Saver Award availability on American program directly to book your Etihad business or first class flights. The other piece that American does, and we've spoken about this before as well, they allow you to put awards on hold and also cancel for free. So those are great perks for those that don't fully know and want some speculative booking in place, or you're still sort of doing your thing and prepping your itinerary. So I think American for me still is the program, is the primary program, and EAD says 115K for EY first from North America. Yeah, agreed. Through AA. Yeah, that's the one. I was thinking 110 or 115. It is 115 confirms EAD from North America to Abu Dhabi in first, Etihad first. Perfect. So, my flight, so I did book the Etihad first availability that popped up on Aeroplan. I was one of them that booked it and experienced first class, the hard product before when I was flying London to Abu Dhabi. They invited me into first class to take some pictures. The only thing I wasn't offered was meal service and whatnot. I was offered a drink. They allowed me to sit around, take a few pictures of the cabin and all of that. The cabin director was very, very generous. I told him about points, miles, and bling. He was happy to know that, invited me in. Good times. I did all of that. What I'm really hoping now that I am going is to be able to experience that full soft service, including the meals, the actual full menu and whatnot. That's what I'm looking forward to. The hard product itself, because I've sort of experienced it, even if it was like not for the full trip or whatever, I've I've experienced it. It doesn't overly excite me like it does everybody else, but I do, and I am looking forward to the meal service, the crew interactions, and all of that. So I think that's what I'm going in for now. Let's see if we can get Iyad to tell us what these frustrations were, or what the drama was. Let's see if Iyad can unmute.
Hello. Yeah, I can
Hey,
unmute. Let me know
hey.
if you can hear me clearly.
Yeah, you're good, Iyad. Go for it.
Awesome. Alrighty. So, oh man, I don't know where to start. First of all, I want to say I hate you for what you just said. I really wanted to fly that first class on Etihad. I was like so giddy when I got to book it. And some background for the viewers
Oh
is
my
that,
God. Sorry, to cut you off. Yes, it's all coming back to me now. You and I exchanged messages about this. Oh my God. Yes. Oh, good drama. People tune in. If you're doing something else, just sit back and listen to this. Sorry, Iyad, to cut you off, but all that
yeah.
conversation just came back to me. Go for it.
Yeah, so for those who aren't aware, Aeroplan suddenly had a ton of Etihad first class flights, specifically between Paris and Abu Dhabi. And it was like 65,000 Aeroplan. It was amazing. So obviously, I looked at it and I booked two seats, one for me and my father. And I called my dad, like, take time off during this time. I did the rookie mistake of planning everything around this flight. And I got him excited to try his first class product, and we were set. You know, we booked other flights around it, and the whole itinerary was set. And then a month later, obviously, or a month later, what happened was Aeroplan started calling a bunch of people or emailing and saying, "We're sorry, there was a glitch. We have to cancel your flights, and you're not able to take that Etihad one." So in my case, something weird happened where one of our tickets got canceled, my dad's coincidentally, and mine remained. I'm assuming there was something to do with airplane status, but I'll ignore that for now. And so when that happened, after that there was like 4 days of constant back and forths between me and Aeroplan, for 4 days, just trying to get a ticket between Paris and Abu Dhabi so that we can continue our trip. But basically, it involved him getting a 50,000 point, sorry, we canceled your flight, and then us finally getting rebooked onto a different first class product, and then having all of those sorry points taken away. Because I got another call from an airline agent saying, "Hey, I feel like you're abusing this." I'm like, "No, no, I'm rebooked. I'm not abusing this." And so they took those points away, which was really annoying, to be honest with you. Uh, but I'll ignore that part. There was even more drama because when they rebooked me, it wasn't ticketed properly. So I had to continuously call back and try to get a hold of the same ticketing agent. And it was just a lot of drama to finally be able to fly a first class product. But thankfully, Aeroplan, one thing I can always count on them for is to actually set things right. I'm very happy. I genuinely am happy with the Aeroplan system. As much as a lot of people hate on it, is that eventually they rebooked me on another first class product, and my dad and I had an awesome time. So uh, there was a happy ending, though I'm a little upset that I lost out on 50,000 points each because I feel like Etihad is the superior product compared to what we took. But
What
I'll
did you
save my
take?
comments there.
Where did they book you?
Okay,
What was the first?
this is where people will hate me, but I did end up taking Emirates first class, which I know, like it's an amazing product. Don't get me wrong, but I do think the Etihad suites are way better. Um, but it wasn't that easy either. Like they had to rebook us out of Istanbul, so it was a shorter flight as well, and I had to take an intra Europe flight to catch that. So there was a
Hmm,
lot that happened there, and that's why it took 4 days until I finally found a first class points booking because they wouldn't rebook me on cash, obviously, right?
right.
So and that was something that I did proactively. I figured again, knowing the ins and outs of the Aeroplan system is a huge benefit here, especially to veterans of this game. Is that I knew that if there was another points availability for two seats available, they can
Hmm.
overlook the points difference and rebook me
Yep.
on that. And
So
that's the thing I took care.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think that's the conversation you and I were having, right? So I just wanted to clarify that for everybody. So in a nutshell, what has happened here with Iyad is he booked something for whatever reason they canceled one of the tickets that travel got interrupted. He got 50,000 as a compensation. That compensation was taken back because they were able to book him into another first class product. Now, obviously, it's from a different destination. So instead of Paris, it's Istanbul, and the fact that it's a different airline, whatnot. But from Aeroplan's perspective, because your travel is being compensated for by booking you a different route in the same class level, blah, blah, they think that you don't deserve the 50K. However, you obviously have pointed out correctly that one, you value it differently. And I think the bigger adage here is the fact that you're flying out of Istanbul, where you have to position from like Europe into Istanbul before you take that flight. But yes, so in all of that, that 50,000 is really meant for people whose travels were interrupted slash canceled because of this booking and the fact that they were making all of these changes after 24 to 48 hours or whatever the case might have been. Uh, but yeah, yeah, I don't think I feel as bad for you anymore because of that Emirates first flight. Uh, because I don't think you and I exchanged the fact that they were eventually able to book you on Emirates. You did say that they were able to book you on another
Right.
first class. So I had just assumed, oh, another first class. I hope he's not traveling some American airline or
Oh
God
no.
forbid, I mean, not God forbid, or signature class being treated as whatever. But I think
Yeah.
from the provider's point of view, from Air Canada or Aeroplan's point of view, they look at that interruption not as what aircraft you're flying, what airline you're flying, but simply the fact that you were going from point A to point B. How can we get you to point B? And if we are able to provide you a comparable first class cabin, no matter which aircraft or which airline, your thing is not interrupted, so you don't deserve the 50K. Speaking of, do you want to elaborate or can you share more in terms of what made them think that you were abusing the system?
So it wasn't just I think it was just an agent that was like a little, you know,
Mhm,
not having their best day, let's just
mhm,
say. But basically, because they canceled it first, and then they rebooked me on, I think it was Gulf Air business class, and
right.
then offered that 50,000 compensation. And so when I called it, I was like, no, I want first class. I booked first class, and let me see what I can do here. But also because oh, sorry, I'm just driving right now. There's a lot of people who don't know how to drive. Yeah. So what
Says the
happened
guy
was,
that's on a call
it
while
was
driving.
I'm in a parking lot. I'm not driving.
Uh,
But what is it called? Uh, yeah. It was part of a larger itinerary as well. So it was from Abu Dhabi. I was continuing on to Riyadh, and so when I was telling them my chain, like the routing that I wanted, I was telling them, well, I obviously want to continue to my real final destination, which is Riyadh. So I want to add this and
mm,
that. And because I was gonna be originating in Prague at the time, I was trying to add that Prague to Istanbul leg as well, because like, come on, I don't want to lose out on all the other flights. So it would have in it from their point of view, would have not only been if you look at just as an agent, I'm
yeah,
changing the flight and I'm changing the origin as well. So
that's
if you
correct.
narrow that view down, then yes, I am like changing it a little bit more. But in my defense, it was because my like they are rerouting me through Istanbul. So I can't,
Yeah.
or no, this was before, this was through Gulf Air first. So um that was the part where the agent where I was like talking to the agent about uh changing the origin as well to fly first class, and she wasn't having it. She was like, it was a
Hmm.
long call. I was trying to find all the options I could, and she got tired of it eventually, but that's probably
Right.
why like she said that comment.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, it definitely comes down to that individual agent, and I'm sure you would have done that as well. If she had consistently stayed on that line of you abusing the system, I would be tempted to record everything and then submit an email complaint to Aeroplan, because at no point of time should anybody be telling you that you're trying to abuse the system while they are the ones that have canceled it, even if they are trying to rebook you. God damn,
Yeah,
the distance between Paris to Istanbul is not insignificant. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So,
no.
regardless, they should have accommodated you even for that additional leg. But
So
all said and done, I'm glad
obviously,
you
I
got what you're getting.
yeah, thank you. And obviously I didn't end up booking with her. I actually got annoyed and I was like, okay,
Mm,
thank you very much. And that's why again it took 4 days. I recalled and eventually, and this is the nice thing about Aeroplan is you have some really nice like some people who really know the system and are really
yeah,
good at what they do, right?
yeah.
And so eventually I got the back office ticketing agent who gave me a call
Mm,
because of this ticket. And this guy was phenomenal. He knew the
yeah.
system so well. He knew all the ins and outs, and I could tell that he wanted me to have an aspirational experience. And I love that. Like when you get an agent like that, it makes it so much more fun.
No, 100%. I'll say this that for those of you that have been listening to this forum for a while, you'd recall when Scott and Mark were here last, they got so many questions, so much flack in the media about this customer service pieces, phone calls being taking 2 hours to connect and whatnot. When things were really bad back in 2022, I think they've invested quite a bit in terms of that customer service. Aspect of things, and hired a lot more people with a special emphasis on people that understand the system and understand the membership, especially membership that has status or is 50K and above. Because my biggest sort of takeaway or experience with Aeroplan is in the last year or two, I would say even year and a half at least, whenever I've called the 100K line or the 50K line, even the 50K line has gone to people that are super knowledgeable about the product, about the services that they offer, which wasn't always the case even before. Before, only the 100K line would get those specialists that kind of knew and enjoyed your nerdiness or geekiness. But even the 50K line, and I haven't tried the 35K or other lines, but at least the 50K line and upwards seems like it is going to people that really understand the system. Of course, you'll have oddities like the ones that ER did, but I fully share that comment by ER that Aeroplan has put in the work and does have a lot of people that share that passion of customer service and letting you enjoy what Aeroplan is meant to be, which is a program that unlocks so many things. And Iyad also said this, for those that understand the system and are able to use it, um, I mean, Aeroplan remains the strongest loyalty program out there in North America, period. Um, including American. I'm including the others as well, just in terms of the number of partners it has and the consistency in which you can still fly business class or first class through Aeroplan. The ease of earning points, the ease of redemption, adding stopovers, it just really, really is still by far the best program that we have out there for folks. Couple of comments here. Couple of neat comments. Okay, so Heather says, I think origin and destination should be on the continent from the consumer's perspective, 100%. Heather, Rahul says, Air Canada customer service can be hit or miss. They can be really hostile sometimes. I've had very strange calls, even on simple bookings with stopovers. Yep, fair enough. Okay, Iyad says the original routing was Abu Dhabi, Paris, Riyadh, ended up taking Prague, Istanbul, Abu Dhabi, or correction, Prague, Istanbul, Dubai, because he was going Emirates first class now. Fantastic. Richard says, if only those partners are bookable on Aeroplan. And yes, and when you have those many partners, and now we are talking not just about Star Alliance partners, we are talking all the partnerships that Aeroplan has outside of that. In fact, Etihad is a great example of how much used to be available when the partnership initially launched, and then they went through a bit of a rough phase, and now it seems like the medium haul availability tends to be a lot more than the long haul on Aeroplan. Etihad availability on Aeroplan. So all that to say that when you have so many partners, you're trying to maintain those relationships across the board, and just like it's difficult to maintain one partnership, let alone a giant conglomerate partnership of Star Alliance and then a few other partners. So I'm not giving them an out, but I'm just saying despite that, I think there's decent options. One thing I like about um, Aeroplan a lot is because they have so many partners and their own network is pretty decent across the board. Yes, there's flexible, the dynamic pricing takes a big chunk of value out of it. But if you had to go somewhere and you just had to go, this wasn't like a leisurely flex travel, just you just had to pick up and go. Aeroplan still gives you all of those options. At any given point of day, you can log into Aeroplan, pull up something, it will spit out the options. It almost never have I seen something where it pops up that there's nothing available on that particular day, be it on Air Canada or otherwise. So there's always something available in one cabin or the other, which is not always the case with other programs. A lot of the other programs you will see just like empty days across the board and then sporadic availability sprinkled here and there. But with Air Canada, the one thing I like is the fact that there's something always available for someone that may want to travel that. Yeah, that's my take on Aeroplan these days, but still a stellar program for our community because it allows us to do so much more. To Delta Downtown Hotel. I booked this through Stay Vancouver, and I have to say that this time the Stay Vancouver process was the most seamless process I've gone through. I've done Stay Vancouver promotions in the past as well, and it always required a little bit of sort of explaining to do when you're checking in or trying to get or just hang back and wait and see if Marriott recognizes it or not as a elite thing. This time it was super easy. Booked everything through Stay Vancouver, got an email confirmation, including the Marriott confirmation, uh, and the phone number, called the number, which is directly to the property, told them that this booking was confirmed. They acknowledged that, yep, they were able to see it. They were able to add it to my Bonvoy account. I got in here late last night. There was an envelope sitting, with the $200 each night. I'm here for 2 nights. $200 MasterCard in there, along with brochures, along with good information packed in there. It was just handed to me as part of my check-in process. No questions asked, none of the, oh, are you this? Where did you book this? Or none of that, because that has happened to me in the past. It was very seamless. The gift card itself has Stay Vancouver's logo on it. So it's not like a typical MasterCard that you get in prepaid MasterCard that you get in grocery stores. So they've really put in some money into the marketing campaign and they're doing really, really well. All that to say that it is also showing on the customer side of things where things are becoming seamless. And I fully hope to get back to Ottawa and pop a quick email to their customer service telling them how awesome the experience was, because I feel like these promotions that do so well by the customers need to be acknowledged. So I'm definitely going to write a quick email to them. Unlike, yeah, only because in previous years it never was this smooth or predictable in terms of what was going to happen. Farzan says, also had a good experience with Stay Vancouver this year. Yeah, fantastic. Great. No, these are all good things, and I hope these programs continue to live as long as possible because they add so much value in terms of our travel days or travel weekends. Hey, speaking of, and this occurred to me, the person checking me in never asked, and I was glad that they didn't, because often in the past, even before they gave you the prepaid cards, they would ask if you wanted to put that towards your hotel stay. They didn't ask, and I knew that I wanted to specifically tell them to not add that to my hotel room, simply because I was hoping to get all the points through my credit card and whatnot for my Marriott stay. What would you do? So when you do this, do you take your card and apply it towards your hotel stay, or would you rather use it for other expenses wherever MasterCard can be used? And I think these cards are better used online for online purchases and things like that, as opposed to going store to store. I don't think they have a chip or a thing. But tell me what you've done in the past if you've used one of these prepaid MasterCard promotions through and then would you use that at the hotel stay, or would you rather get all of the points, the 5x or 6x, depending on the card that you have, and then use that MasterCard for other purchases outside? Richard says, I always use my own card to pay for the hotel and use the prepaid somewhere else. Yeah, that's exactly it, Richard. I've done that in the past as well, but that was the other big difference. I recognized that the check-in agent never asked me if I wanted to put that towards my hotel stay, and the fact that it was in a sealed envelope. Um, so it wasn't like they were picking out MasterCards from a drawer, which has happened to me in Vancouver at Westin Bayshore. Uh, that's what it's called, right? Western Bayshore, Bayview, Bayshore, something like that. Right at the end of the Stanley Park there. And these guys had like a drawer full of prepaid MasterCards just sitting there allocated to people, and they were just whipping out MasterCards. And I remember, I think even that one then was $200, and I got two MasterCards for $100 each. Instead of one for $200, which this one is, which I like a lot better. I don't want $50 four cards and whatnot. Just give me one card, load everything in there, and allow me to use it wherever I want. So those were the differences that I noticed this time around. Heather says, well, hopefully you got something out of today's conversation. And yeah, for some of you, I'll see you later tonight at the meetup. For others that I don't, I will definitely see you next weekend. So until then, have a lovely, lovely weekend. Enjoy wherever you are, rest up, and we'll keep in touch. Take care, folks. Greg, see you later. Richard, cheers. Donna, take care. Heather, bye. Bye, everybody.